ahead and get started. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brian Behringer, and I'm a sales engineer at Call Tracking Metrics. But today, I have the pleasure of serving as a moderator here at Demo Day. It's my pleasure to introduce Tyler, a seasoned professional with numerous years of experience in behavioral health, as well as being a software engineer. Today, Tyler will be sharing valuable insights on Rollover Rep. So let's give some thumbs up emojis in the chat.
Thank you, Brian. It's very nice to be here.
Awesome. To get things kicked off, can you tell me, Tyler, what are some of the big trends you've seen in behavioral health technology over the past year?
Yeah. I think we all see the growing demand for services that makes it increasingly important to be able to manage care efficiently. Especially, it's really nice to see a lot of treatment centers have kind of an acceleration in adoption with technology and with integrations. And I think, it all goes hand in hand. It's all kind of tied together. It's really nice to see, especially from our perspective, the kind of level up that we've seen across treatment centers in the past couple of years. And really what it all kind of boils down to is better use of those technologies and integrations. Let your treatment center make more data-driven decisions, which mean that, instead of throwing a dart at the board, you're really kind of seeing and measuring the outcomes of the different changes that you're making, and that allows you to grow and make a more effective department.
Awesome. Well, I will go ahead and turn it over to you, Tyler. Thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. And bear with me 1 second while I move some screens around. Very cool. Going to go ahead and share my screen.
Perfect.
Great. Yeah, so like Brian said, my name is Tyler. I am the CTO here at Rollover Rep. For those of you who don't know, Rollover Rep is an answering service for addiction treatment and behavioral healthcare centers. So we pick up the phone when your team's not available, whether that is overnight at 3 a.m., the offices are closed, or if that's in the middle of the day and the admissions team is just completely swamped, and we'll take down that information from the caller and send it back to your treatment center for when you guys are available to pick up the phone. We were founded about 7 years ago by our CEO, Stefan, who had just come from rehabs.com. So he was on the marketing side of the admissions process. And what he'd seen is that treatment centers work really hard to generate these phone calls into their facilities. But at the same time, many treatment centers were also missing many of these phone calls. And because of how delicate that part of the journey is for the person seeking help, who's finally gotten themselves to pick up the phone, and on top of that, how hard the treatment center had worked to generate that phone call in the first place, he knew that there needed to be a better way. So this is how we operate today. You can imagine an inbound phone call coming into your facility that goes through call tracking metrics, maybe a call routing flow or a round robin to your admissions department. And ultimately that call is missed. For us at Rollover Rep, that means typically about 20 seconds of ring time before the call is forwarded over to our agents, where we'll pick up the phone within about 2 seconds. We'll ask the person on the phone a series of questions and follow a script that's custom tailored to your facility, getting down all the information that you guys are typically looking for. And at the end of the call, we'll package up all that information. We'll send it over to your team via email. We'll post it to a database, and frequently we'll also post it through an integration with your CRM, something like a Salesforce. Is a big part of the level up in technology that we were just talking about. And we're super proud of what we've been able to do. We've been incredibly successful in our own eyes. We are currently helping over 100 distinct facilities answer their phones. And for us, that means that we're assisting with over 600 new admissions per month that may have otherwise been missed. And on the treatment center side, that equates to about $9 million or more in found revenue every single month. And one of the core values that we bring to the table, along with our answering service, is a focus on data and analytics. So what I've brought for you guys today is one of my favorite reports that we produce for our partners on a regular basis. This represents a percentage of missed calls, excuse me, percentage of missed calls for your facility by time of day. And so what this chart shows us, and what actually surprises a lot of treatment centers, is that it's really easy to think of the missed calls that are coming in overnight, 3 a.m. when the facility's closed. There's nobody at the desk picking up the phones. So yeah, those phones are clear. Those phone calls are clearly missed. But what a lot of our partners don't know before engaging with us, and this is typical across all of the companies that we service, is that the majority of the missed calls typically come in during business hours. So the real story is actually more like your admissions department, your coordinators. They're often wearing a lot of hats. They have a lot of things to do throughout the day and can get very busy at certain times. And so it's actually those phone calls during working hours that are being dropped. And so those are the ones that we find the most valuable to help with and to get back to your team so that they can pick them up as quickly as possible. But I've brought a demo for you guys. I want to show you through the platform that we have, and walk you through a little bit of what we're doing to kind of improve the admissions process for the teams that we work with. So I'll go over to the demo. Can you guys see the application now? Perfect. So this is our platform, and this is what we consider your homepage. It's your lead page. Every single one of these cards represents a phone call that Rollover Rep's taken on your behalf, and that needs some kind of attention or follow-up. So you can see on each of these cards in the upper left-hand corner, we have a status indicator here that shows us whether this is a brand new lead to the facility, or whether this is someone who has called in before. That's a question that our reps always ask, is if they've had prior communication with your facility or not. If they are new, you'll see the new indicator. If they're existing, you'll see that green existing indicator. You can also see the insurance information as well as the time of day that we took the phone call, the name of the person who's seeking help and what they're seeking help for. And you can see a snippet of the notes that our team took on the phone call with that individual. So the name of the game here would be for an admissions rep to come in to click on one of these cards. Let's take Clyde, for example, here. And we can go through and see all of the detailed information that Rollover Rep took down on this phone call on your behalf. So an admissions rep might look at this, might read through all of the details, get an idea for how the phone call went, and then call Clyde back or shoot him a text. This would be the follow-up that we'd expect for you guys to do. Even you could come in and leave a comment behind that says, hey, I called and spoke with Clyde. You can save that comment. You can see what the comment was, who made it, and at what time they made that comment. And once you've done your outreach and you've spoken to the person, you can make a determination about whether or not they're considered qualified or disqualified. And for us, we consider it a pretty simple definition. For the most part, qualifying a lead just means, hey, this looks like somebody we can help. And disqualifying a lead says, hey, this looks like somebody that we're not going to be able to help. Maybe they struggle with something that we can't help them with. Maybe there's some other circumstance that doesn't allow us to work with them. But let's go ahead and say that Clyde is qualified. I'll go ahead and click on the qualify button right here. And we can see now that this took us over to an opportunities page that's structured like a typical pipeline that you might be familiar with from a CRM system. So Clyde lands in our new column. And as we work with Clyde, we follow up. Let's say we're doing the insurance verification. We can select the VOB status. We can go back to our opportunities page and we can see Clyde moved over to the VOB section. And this is super helpful. A big part of what we're talking about when we're talking about data tracking and integration is having a space for your team to track exactly where each individual is in their journey, while also recording that information into the system in a way that you can use later down the road to analyze your workflows or to improve your processes. And so let's say in this hypothetical scenario that we're working with Clyde, we did the verification of benefits, we've tried calling him back, but we actually can't quite get him on the phone. And so now it's been however many weeks or months that we've tried to follow up with Clyde, but by our own standards, we're going to consider Clyde lost, didn't get all the way through to an admission. Well, that means that your team can come in here, you can choose close lost. Clyde will be removed from the pipeline, but he will be saved in your history. So if you go over to your history tab, you'll see under the close lost leads that Clyde is in here. And if anybody ever has any questions about, hey, whatever happened with that individual, what was the story here, or in general, what's happening with the people we lose across the board, you can always come in here. You can take a look at these leads. You can say, hey, I see Clyde here. Looks like we lost him at the VOB stage. And the last thing that happened with Clyde is that Tyler called and spoke with him on May 16th. And so these insights, while they're seemingly very simple, are incredibly important towards really structuring and organizing the process that your team will go through. Also, just to point out, in that history tab, you have a history of everyone you've handled, which we consider either qualified or disqualified. Just means, hey, we got back to this person and there's no more action that needs to be taken at this time. And you also have a list of your non-admissions related phone calls that will look just like the list that you see here. The last thing that I wanted to show you guys, which I think is probably the most interesting thing about this system that we've got for you, is that it includes its own custom reporting. And what these reports are the most insightful reports that we've seen our customers are looking for from the data that Rollover Rep has based on the phone calls that we take on your behalf. And so in the upper left-hand corner, you have a filter here where you can set your start date or your end date. That will show you exactly how many admissions calls you've taken in that time period, as well as how many non-admissions calls you've taken in that time period. It'll show you caller identification, like who the person was seeking help for, whether it was themselves or someone else, whether or not those individuals had prior communication with your facility or not. And in the upper right-hand corner here, you can see that we also have a breakdown of your insurance providers. And so this is super helpful for a lot of people. Let's say, for whatever reason, your facility is most interested in Aetna patients right now. You can actually come in here and you can click on the bar that says Aetna, and you can see all the leads that have come through and what their status is, when they were followed up with, and what action needs to be taken next, specifically for this group of individuals. The last report we have here, the time to handle, this goes right off of that disqualify and qualify button that I showed you before, and will give you a view into how long it takes your team to go from a call was received by Rollover Rep and taken on our behalf to, hey, we followed up with them and we've taken next steps. You can see on our report, we've got an average of something like 2,000 hours. I'm sure it doesn't take anyone's facility 2,000 hours to get back to anybody. That's just our sample data, but you can see here, that's where your data will be in this platform. And yeah, I think that's it for the demo. I did just want to roll back to the presentation real quick. I do have one more slide that I wanted to talk through with you guys. Sitting in the chair with as many treatment centers, kind of riding shotgun with these admissions teams, as many as we do, we see a lot of common themes throughout of what the best treatment centers do well and what many treatment centers struggle with. And some of the most key and basic recommendations that we can make to any treatment center out there, the things that we see the best treatment centers doing, is first and foremost to know your call data. Like we talked about before, it takes a lot of time and effort to generate these phone calls in the first place. It's a really important moment for the person seeking help, that initial phone call, and that it goes well and that they can continue on their journey. And the best way to service that department is to understand your calls, understand when they're coming in and what's happening with them, and understand where they're going. And so systems like call tracking metrics are incredibly valuable for that really key value for a treatment center. The next thing that we find specifically is to answer calls quickly. I'd mentioned before that that after 20 seconds is typically when we like to consider a call's been missed and have it roll over to our treatment center. That might have surprised a few people to hear, but really what we're finding is that there are just many people who will abandon a call 30, 40, 50 seconds into hearing the ringtone. And one of the best things we can all collectively do is just make sure that we've got someone on the line quickly and that ring doesn't go through for too long. Saving those abandons is really important. Like I was just showing you guys in the demo, we have found that tracking the admissions journey, even beyond that initial first contact and all the way through to that admission, is incredibly important. We were motivated to build this platform that we've recently released by the need that we saw in our customer base for something like this. Now, it won't qualify for many of you. I'm sure that everyone knows some of the treatment centers we've run into are the kind of places that are still running on spreadsheets or pen and paper. And quite honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. But what tracking your admissions journey in an electronic system like our platform allows you to do is to get those valuable data insights and to go back 3 months, 6 months, 12 months in the future or in the past and say, hey, let's look at what happened over that time frame. Whereas when you're using a pen and paper or a spreadsheet, that might be much more difficult to track in a standard and easy way. And the last thing, I think I've got to say it, coming from Rollover Rep here, don't miss phone calls. It's so important that that first phone call, that moment of clarity, and that individual who's seeking help has someone on the other line to talk to. And when we can make that first contact, we've just seen incredible results all the way through the funnel and the journey for the person seeking help. So yeah, that's it from me, Brian. I really appreciate it, and thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on, and it was great to see this powerful platform in action. For our attendees, if you have any questions, you can just drop them in the Zoom Q&A now. So we do have a few minutes. And while we're waiting for those questions, Tyler, what is the best way for our attendees to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so if you have any questions specifically about something you're interested in, or maybe something unique about our service, everyone here, feel free to reach out to me directly. My email is tyler@rolloverrep.com. But if you've got interest in the service itself, I encourage you to reach out to our sales team, and that's sales@rolloverrep.com. We've actually got our account director, Mike, who's with us in the chat today. So if you've got questions, he can also contribute in the conversation there. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you, whether that's just questions about technology integration, how we use the tools that we do use, or what we see the best treatment centers do, all the way down to, hey, this is interesting for us and we'd love to have a conversation about working together. So please feel free to contact us.
Well, we do have a question in the chat. So the question is, who answers the phones at Rollover Rep, and where are they?
Great question. So we have entirely US based remote call center that's here in the United States. These are our agents who we've trained specifically for addiction treatment and behavioral health care. And on top of that layer of industry specific training that our agents go through, we also customize the script for each individual facility so that if there are specific questions or specific pieces of information that you want us to relay on the phone call, we go ahead and we train our agents on that as well.
Thank you for that. I got another question here in the chat. So is there a trial, or how do I get a sense of if this is a good fit?
Yeah, so we do offer a 2-week free trial because we do know how important it is for you guys to see firsthand what it's like to work with our team. We take the responsibility of these phone calls very seriously. And so if you'd like, we can set you up with a 2-week trial. We can get you through as many missed calls as you have in that time period over the schedule that we set up. And then we sit down, review with you the performance of the campaign at the end of the trial. And you'll be working with Mike directly on that. So.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, with that being said, I think we will go ahead and wrap this one. Tyler, again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian.
No problem. And for those in attendance, if you want to go ahead and get in the waiting room for that next session, that should be starting in just a few minutes. So thank you all again.
Take care.
Tyler,